Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. So this is part 7 of the MCQ series of all sciences, biology, chemistry, and physics. So once again, if you haven't watched my previous parts, I highly suggest you do so before watching this video. And similar to the last few videos, this also includes Hindi translations for some of you guys to understand the content a little bit better. So without further ado, let's start on with the video. Question number 161. The mirror used in a telescope is it A, concave, B, convex, C, plane mirror, or D, none of these? So the mirror used in a telescope is concave. Option A is correct. Concave mirror is used to gather light and reflect it back to the focal point. Moving on to the next question. A process in which a parent cell is divided into two identical daughter cells is called, is it A, meiosis, B, mitosis, C, gametix, or D, none of these? So which process includes the parent cell in dividing into two identical daughter cells? And that process is called B, mitosis. Mitosis is the process in which parent cells divide into two daughter cells. In cell division, mitosis refers to the separation of duplicate genetic material carried in the nucleus. Moving on to the next question. A process in which DNA of a cell is duplicated to make two similar copies of the parent DNA is called, is it A, plasma, B, genes, C, replication, or D, none of these? So which process includes the DNA of a cell to be duplicated and made into two similar copies of the parent DNA? So this process is called C. DNA replication is a biological process of producing two identical replicas from one original DNA molecule. This is an essential part for biological inheritance. The next question is, bacteria are placed in which of the kingdom? Is it A, Monera, B, Protista, C, vertebrate, or D, none of these? So which of the following kingdoms does bacteria belong in? And the correct answer is A, Monera. Monera is a kingdom that contains unicellular organisms with a prokaryotic cell organization, which means having no nuclear membrane. So one of those examples include bacteria. Moving on to the next one. The structural and functional unit of a kidney is called, is it A, neuron, B, nephron, C, nerve, or D, none of these? So the structural and functional unit of kidney is called A, nephron. So remember, each nephron has a glomerulus to filter your blood and a tubule that returns needed substances to blood and pulls out additional waste. The next question is, the small pores in leaves used for exchange of gases are called, is it A, photosynthesis, B, xylem, C, stomata, or D, none of these? So which of these are the small pores in leaves used for exchange of gases? So the correct answer here is C, stomata. Stomata are small pores on the surface of leaves and stems, bounded by guard cells that control gas exchange, mainly water vapor and CO2, carbon dioxide. The next question. When the moon comes in between the earth and the sun, then blank eclipse is formed. So is it A, solar eclipse, B, lunar eclipse, C, rainbow, or D, none of these? So when the moon comes in between the Earth and the Sun, then A, solar eclipse happens. Solar eclipse happens when the moon gets in the way of the sunlight and casts its shadow on Earth. So this means that during the day, the moon gets over the sun and it becomes dark. The next question. A process in which solid converts into gaseous state without giving into liquid phase is called, is it A, sublimation, B, condensation, C, evaporation, or D, none of these? So which of these processes includes the solid converting into gaseous state without giving into liquid phase? And that process is called A, sublimation. Sublimation is a transforming from solid phase to gaseous without passing through an intermediate liquid phase. The next question. Insulin is a chemical that is produced in our, is it A, pancreas, B, liver, C, stomach, or D, heart? So which of these organs excretes insulin? And the correct answer here is A, pancreas. Insulin is released from the beta cells in pancreas in response to rising of glucose in bloodstream. The pancreas detects the rise in bloodstream. The pancreas detects rise in glucose from the bloodstream and secretes insulin. The next question. Which instrument is used to measure blood pressure? Is it A, barometer, B, thermometer, C, sphygmomanometer, or D, none of these? So which instrument is used to measure blood pressure? And if you remember from my previous video, barometer is used to measure atmospheric pressure, and a thermometer is used to measure temperature. So this will eliminate these two options, making C the correct option. The sphygmomanometer composes of an inflatable rubber cuff, which is wrapped around the arm. Pressure equals arterial systolical pressure. So the blood that flows past the cuff creates turbulence and sound, which is detected. The next question. The things that can cause asthma are called, is it A, translocators, B, pollutants, C, pollinators, or D, allergens? So the things that can cause asthma are called D, allergens. Possible allergens include pollen, dust mite, and pet dander, which may result in asthma symptoms such as tightness of chest, coughing, and difficulty in breathing. So the things that can cause asthma are called allergens. Next question. Blood vessels which carry blood from heart to the body are called, is it A, capillaries, B, atrium, C, veins, or D, arteries? So the blood vessels which carry blood from the heart to the body are called atrium. B is the correct answer. Atrium is located in the upper chamber of the heart, through which blood enters the ventricle of the heart. The right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from systemic vein, and the left atrium receives oxygenated blood from pulmonary veins. So that's a very important one to remember. Moving on to the next one. Which veins bring oxygenated blood from lungs to heart? Is it A, renal veins, B, coronary veins, C, pulmonary veins, or D, all of these options? So which veins bring oxygenated blood from lungs to heart? And the right answer here is C, pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins return oxygenated blood from lungs to heart. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away from the right ventricle to lungs. Moving on to the next one. Chest pain, shortness of breath, and heavy sweating are symptoms of, is it A, hypertension, B, myocardial infarction, C, asthma, or D, diabetes? So chest pain, shortness of breath, and heavy sweating are symptoms of myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction also is known as a heart attack, which occurs when blood flow decreases or stops to the part of the heart. Other symptoms may include discomfort, may travel into shoulder, arm, back, neck, or jaw. Moving on to the next question. Which report can help to diagnose heart attack? Is it A, ECG, B, GEC, C, EEG, or D, GCE? So which report can help diagnose heart attacks? And the right answer here is A, ECG. Electrocardiogram records electrical activity of heart at rest, providing information about heart rate and rhythm. Moving on to the next question. The total number of neutrons and protons present in the nucleus of an atom is called, is it A, atomic number, B, atomic mass, C, atomic weight, or D, none of these? So the total number of neutrons and protons present in the nucleus of an atom is called the atomic mass. Atomic mass is a weighted average of all the isotopes of that element. So the atomic mass of an element can be found under elemental symbol on the periodic table. Moving on to the next question. An atom has 20 neutrons and 20 electrons. It will therefore have how many protons? Is it A, 25 protons, B, 30 protons, C, 35 protons, or D, 20 protons? So if an atom has 20 neutrons and 20 electrons, it will have 20 protons. The number of electrons in a neutral atom equals the number of protons. So remember, an isotope occurs when the number of neutrons may not equal the number of protons. But in this case, as it is a neutral atom, all of the three components will equal each other. So 20 protons means that the element is calcium. Moving on to the next question. The path around which the electron revolves is known as, is it A, energy level, B, energy base, C, energy mass, or D, none of these? So the path around which electrons revolve is known as A, energy level. This is also known as electron shells, which are fixated distances from the nucleus of an atom where electrons revolve. Moving on to the next one. An atom which does not have a neutron is it A, hydrogen, B, protium, C, helium, or D, deuterium? So an atom which does not have a neutron is called B, protium. Protium is an isotope of hydrogen that is composed of one proton and one electron in its 1s orbital. So protium does not have a neutron. The next question. Basidiospores are considered to be a major source of, is it A, waterborne allergens, B, airborne allergens, C, bioweapons, or D, none? Basidiospores are considered to be a major source of airborne allergens. Basidiospore is a reproductive spore by Basidiomyceta fungi that includes mushroom, shelf fungi, rust, and smuts. Moving on to the next question. The biggest planet in our solar system, is it A, Venus, B, Pluto, C, Jupiter, or D, none? So the biggest planet in our solar system is C, Jupiter. Jupiter, being the biggest planet, gets its name from king of ancient Roman gods. So just to put it in perspective, Jupiter is more than twice as massive as all of the other planets combined. Moving on to the next question. The chemical name of quartz is it A, silicon dioxide, B, aluminium oxide, C, stannous oxide, or D, none of these? So the chemical name of quartz is A, silicon dioxide. So remember, quartz is found in abundance and has several electronic uses, such as oscillators in radios, watches, and pressure gauge. Moving on to the next question. Phosphorus is an essential component of which of the following biological molecules? Is it A, amino acid, B, carbohydrate, C, nucleic acid, or D, none of these? So phosphorus is an essential component of C, nucleic acid. Phosphorus is an important structural element in both DNA and RNA because both genetic molecules have a sugar phosphate backbone. Moving on to the next question. The unit to measure the quantity of ozone gas in atmosphere is it A, Dobson, B, Dalton, C, Coulomb, or D, none of these? So which of these are the unit to measure the quantity of ozone gas? And the right answer here is A, Dobson. Dobson unit is the most basic measure used in ozone research. One Dobson unit is defined to be 0.01 millimeter thickness at standard temperature and pressure. Moving on to the next question. Which is the outermost planet in the solar system? Is it A, Mercury, B, Pluto, C, Neptune, or D, Uranus? Which of these planets is the outermost planet in our solar system? So the right answer here is C, Neptune. Neptune and Uranus are the outermost planets known as ice giants. So remember, Neptune is the outermost planet, but Neptune and Uranus both are known as ice giants. Moving on to the next question. What is the smallest unit of heredity? Is it A, chromosome, B, gene, C, nucleotides, or D, none of these? So which of these are the smallest unit of heredity? And the right answer here is B, gene. Gene is a discrete linear sequence of DNA which corresponds to heritable trait, and it is the smallest unit of heredity. Moving on to the next question. Other name of platelet is it A, erythrocytes, B, leukocytes, C, thrombocytes, or D, none of these? So another name for platelets is thrombocytes. Thrombocytes form in bone marrow and play a role in blood clotting. Moving on to the next question. A clouding that develops in the lens of eyes or in its envelope obstructing passage of light is known as is it A, glaucoma, B, hemophilia, C, cataract, or D, diphtheria? So which of the following is a clouding that develops in the lens of the eyes? And the correct answer here is C, cataract. Cataract occurs with age or injury that changes the tissue makeup of the eye lens? Moving on to the next question. The hormone that increases the rate of heartbeat and blood pressure after shock in a person is called. Is it A, gastrin, B, adrenaline, C, thyroxine, or D, pancreatic? So which of these following are the hormone that increases heart rate and blood pressure after shock? So the correct answer here is B. Adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, is a hormone produced in the adrenal gland when a strong emotion is perceived or preparation for flight or fight. So adrenal is a very important hormone to remember. The last question, which bone in human body is not directly attached to other bones? Is it A, hyoids, B, ulna, C, tibia, or D, cranium? So which of these bones in the human body is not directly attached to other bones? And the correct answer here is A. Hyoid bone is also described as free-floating. The horseshoe-shaped bone is located in the anterior midline of the neck and between the chin and thyroid cartilage. So the hyoid bone is the only bone in the human body which is not directly attached to other bones. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed part 7 of the MCQ series of all sciences, biology, chemistry, and physics. As per usual, don't forget to like this video, comment down below how you did with the MCQ, share it with your family, friends, classmates, and see how they fare with this MCQ. And as per usual, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you are notified when I post again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.